Hey friends, I've got a heck of a guest this week that I cannot wait to introduce you to. I have Clare Deacon. She is a positive psychology coach and therapist. She supports individuals around the world in private online sessions. She has a passion for working with fabulous individuals who are ready to invest in themselves and their future. She's transforming those that are frustrated and discontent, often just hindered by past trauma and hindering us from being confident. So she works with individuals to make everybody feel energized, focused, and really just ready to tap into their full potential and setting everybody up to live their best life. She is helping individuals create a path for future success and supporting her clients just to ultimately achieve their dreams. She and her children live in the UK, and she's just got a passion for learning, music, sound baths, and meditations. She has overcome tons of adversity with the unexpected death of her husband. So, really, her story is just one of remarkable strength and wisdom. So, I really cannot wait for you to just come on and listen to this exciting story and just learn about how she just not only, went through this journey of recovering and has made her life's work now to just not only survive, but to really thrive. And she's really determined to live her absolute best life. So without further ado, let's go. I cannot wait to introduce you here to Clare. Do you want to live a beautiful life that reflects the truth of who you are? Be bold and courageous as you step into your heartfelt desires. How does trusting yourself fully and connecting with your soul's purpose sound? The Unplanned Mom podcast is a potent mix of real life stories, practical spiritual teachings, and a community to help guide you for eternity. This is the place for inspiration with down-to-earth tools to help you pivot and continue to live your best life beyond your wildest dreams. Here we honor your deepest, authentic truth, embrace motherhood, talk all things money, mindset, and most importantly, miracles. So are you ready to say yes to all of this? If so, then let's dive in. I'm your host, Ashley Bush, and I have been praying for you, and I cannot wait to get to know you better. Let's go. Okay. Hello, Clare. It's so great to see you. I'm so happy to have you on here on the Unplanned Mom School podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yes, same here. So tell us where you're at. Where are you here in the world?
So I'm based just north of London. So I'm about 50 miles north of London in the UK.
Okay. In a house, in an apartment, at home, in your home? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Very nice. Awesome. Well, I know we've got so much to talk about. You've got just an incredible story and a journey. And, we talk all things money, mindset, and miracles here on the podcast. And I was so excited to have you on as a guest because I really want you to share about your motherhood journey. So, I always try to ask people, were you planning? Were you not planning? Tell us about when you became a mother and just kind of walk us through that story for us, if you will.
Okay. So I was married and we'd been married a few years. We'd been together a while, but we'd been married probably a couple of years before we decided that we wanted to try for children. So, So our expectation was that it was going to take months, maybe even years. You always hear these stories of how long it takes, and it takes longer than you expect. Only that wasn't the case for us. So it was interesting, actually. We were out walking our dog, and we had a big old English sheepdog at the time. Aww. And it was a really frosty, cold day. And I had this big scarf round my neck, covering my face. And we're walking and the dog's running off and my husband was calling him back. And I suddenly thought, oh my God, I'm going to be sick. So I quickly unwrapping this scarf with fear this was going to happen and be a complete disaster. And I was sick and I was like, I have no idea where that came from, why I was sick, and I feel fine. Anyway, we carried on the walk, got back home, and my husband offered me a scary salad, which made me feel sick again.
Oh no.
So I went up to the bathroom and I was like, this is just really weird, because it was a different type of sickness. I was like, there's something different here. And something just came over me and I just froze and I thought, I'm pregnant.
Mm.
And I just knew I was pregnant. And so I had the test and I was right. I was pregnant.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like that at first. And with your first, I was like, oh my God, it's real.
Yeah. Right.
I've done it now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you just changed it at instant. It's a really different experience until you until you see those lines on your test or read that it's positive. It instantly changes you.
Absolutely. So it was kind of, and we both obviously wanted it, and there was no question around that. It was just kind of this.
So just shock. You both were in shock, but overall excited because you were trying to have children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unfortunately that baby didn't stick, and
sorry.
I had a miscarriage around 8 weeks.
Okay.
So, which absolutely floored me.
Mm-hmm.
It was really heartbreaking for me, and I hadn't had those feelings before of what it was like to actually be a mum. Yeah. And whilst I'd only had a short amount of time being pregnant, knowing I was pregnant, I really then felt that I was a mum without a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew a few others who'd experienced miscarriage, but not really that talked about.
Right.
And everyone has so I've had friends who've experienced miscarriage and it hasn't impacted them in the same way as it impacted me. But for me, it was a complete loss. So it really changed things, which made me really scared about trying again, because I didn't want to face a reality that maybe that's what was going to happen to me and I was going to go on this big journey of loss and stuff. So it took quite a lot of encouragement.
Yes.
And actually, in all honesty, a dare from my sister-in-law.
Oh my goodness.
One New Year's Eve, me and my sister-in-law were sat together, and she has difficulty in getting pregnant as well. So she was said to me, do you know what? If you go for it, I'll go for it as well. So we'll join forces. And it was kind of like a dare. So I was like, okay.
How much time had gone by since you're lost until that dare?
So it wasn't that length of time. It was probably about 9 months. It was
but that's okay. That's yeah. I mean, that's okay. I think that's helpful, to know, because everybody processes it differently. So 9 months you had to grieve the loss of that, and through that time, was your husband supportive?
Absolutely,
and encouraging. Yeah.
And I would say one of the really interesting things that perhaps we don't always think about is when I was miscarrying, we called the emergency doctor to say what had happened and what was happening. And my husband made the call because I was just unable really to speak. I was so devastated with what was happening. And I heard the doctor, first of all, say, okay, well, I'll speak to your wife in a moment and we'll get her sorted. But he said, I just want to take a moment to check in with you and how you're feeling. And I think that compassion that doctor gave to my husband in acknowledging his feelings, that for him it was his loss and he was trying to protect me as well, is really important, and really kind of changed probably how I treated him in regards to the loss as well. I think sometimes we forget that there's a dad who's lost as well at the same time. So that was,
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. Because it definitely affects both men and women. And it's a loss all the way around. So 9 months later, here you are, New Year's Eve, you're rolling in the new year. What year is it? And how quickly? Two.
2007 it was. Yeah.
Okay. So you're rolling it. You're going into 2007, closing
Yeah.
2006. Okay. You're starting 2007. You have the dare. Do you get pregnant?
I do get pregnant, and I get pregnant immediately as well.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, don't have problems in getting pregnant.
Okay. Okay. So you got pregnant very quickly after. All right. How were you feeling through this pregnancy?
So the first few weeks, it was a huge milestone to get past the 8-week point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had literally, I've never told anyone this. I had some Post-it notes, actually, much like these, just a little pack of Post-it notes. And I wrote a countdown on it of how many days I had to get to.
Yes.
That I was past the point and I'd gone further than the last pregnancy. And every night I went to bed, I would take another one of these Post-it notes off that I had achieved.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Because it helps you really just put things into perspective that you have to just take, day by day to get to these certain milestones. Yeah. I've been there too. That first trimester, I mean, it's awful after you've experienced a loss, just the waiting. And I love that though. I relied a lot on prayer and just trying to be distracted. But now if that ever happened again, which I don't know, but I mean, I love that countdown. That's awesome. And I think a lot of people can use that. So you get pregnant. Tell us about the baby. Tell us about the journey.
Wow. So I had a lovely pregnancy. I glowed through it. I really enjoyed it. And it was great. And I finished up work, went on maternity leave.
Okay.
Had a couple of weeks before he was due to put my feet up. And what I have to tell to anybody is have that hot cup of tea.
Yes.
You don't get to drink a hot drink again for a long time.
Yes.
So I enjoyed those cups of tea, enjoyed putting my feet up for a bit. And then we hit 40 weeks and there was no signs of him coming.
Oh my. Okay.
And then we hit 41 weeks and there were no signs of him coming.
Oh, wow.
Only the frustration building that husband was on tenterhooks, so I wasn't allowed to go anywhere. Don't go too far. You have to have supervision at all times. And then those regular messages and phone calls. Has the baby arrived yet?
Right.
No. Well, why not? How much longer is it going to take?
Right.
And then those phone calls as we got even further in the journey and he still hadn't arrived. Well, I'm getting really frustrated because every day I'm excited that he's going to arrive and he's not. And I'm like, you're frustrated. How do you think I feel?
Right.
Anyway, it ended up, I got taken into hospital to be induced.
Okay.
And the induction, he still didn't want to come out.
Oh my gosh. I'm feeling for you because that waiting and so
if
he was comfortable.
He was very, very comfortable. So if you watch the episode of Friends where Jennifer Aniston watches everybody come.
Yes. Yes, to give birth. That was you.
That was me. So even to the point, so every day my husband would come and see me and we'd go for a walk around the hospital grounds. And we bumped into my consultant and he went, what are you still doing here? Why are you here? I induced 2 days ago. Why are you here?
Oh my.
And I was like, I'm trying to have a baby. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
They tried inducing me again. So this time they said, right, you are having this baby. Mm-hmm. So I was put on the highest level of drip to be induced. Unfortunately, that meant that had a bit of a negative impact on the baby and his heart rate started to drop. And we ended up in an emergency situation. Okay. So I had ended up having to have an emergency C-section because his heart rate had stopped and They were struggling to anaesthetize me as well. I didn't want to be anaesthetized. So I ended up having to have a general anaesthetic and put to sleep. Husband was thrown out of the theatre.
Wow.
Told to go and relax. He'd never quite get over that. Go
Right.
and relax. That's not going to happen. So yeah, so I actually came round in the theatre a bit, came round, went back to sleep kind of thing. So really for me, I first came round and my husband was holding our son and introduced him to me.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we had a very tough time with him. We did nearly lose him. He developed E. coli sepsis.
Oh my gosh.
So he was taken into NICU and fought for his life. So we were told after a couple of days that we needed to plan for the worst, that they didn't expect him to survive the night.
Oh.
But he turned a corner, and a couple of weeks after we had been given that news, I got to take him home.
Oh.
So yeah, that was amazing. We had a difficult time to start with, and we had lots of checks on us both. We were both had been really ill from the whole process. But he's a strapping rugby playing lad now.
I did not know all of that. I mean, wow, I can't even imagine. So how scary to have that conversation, but then just the miracle and that he survived that and has come out and thriving. And so you get home, you guys are recuperating. Both your body after a C-section is extremely difficult, and then taking care of a new baby. So wow, you guys are both very strong and have gone through a lot.
I think I was still being seen by the district nurse 3 months after he was born. She was still coming to the house to treat me because of the fact that I had gone through such a process with him. Yeah. But yeah. So it was a big
That's
thing.
very traumatic. Very traumatic. I mean, that was a traumatic birth.
Yes.
I mean, that's a lot. So I got more questions, but I got to stick to the schedule today. But my goodness, I have lots of questions about that. I mean, I've had a traumatic birth as well, and that's tough. So you're not prepared for it at all. I mean, it's everything that any preconceived notions are totally out the window. So, okay, I got so many more questions about this. So I know you have more children. So you have your strapping young lad of a athlete of a son right now. He's doing great. He's doing well. You have him. Go tell us more. You go on. You have more children.
Okay. So it took me a little bit of a while to be convinced that I wanted to do that again. But ultimately I was like, I didn't want my eldest to be an only child. Mm-hmm. We'd always said we would have more children. So we went, okay, we're going to try again. So this was 2000 and it was the end of 2010.
Okay.
And we had a lot going on in our world. So we were moving house, and that had been really problematic. It had fallen through. It had started again. They tried to convince us to move on Christmas Eve.
Oh my.
So, it was a difficult time. Anyway, I still managed to get pregnant. And this time, there felt something different for me. And I obviously went back to my first pregnancy, and I thought, something's not right here. I don't know what it is, but I just don't feel right. So I was on kind of tenterhooks until I went for my first scan. So me and my husband sat in the hospital waiting to go into the scan room. And my very wise husband, trying to obviously calm my nerves, knowing that I had this thing that I felt differently. Mm-hmm. He pointed at the wall and said, where there was a whole range of leaflets, and said, wouldn't it be really funny if when we come out the scan room, we need one of those? And it was a leaflet for people expecting multiples. Yes, very funny joke. Because I went into the scan room, laid there, start scanning over my belly, and she goes, oh, look, there's the baby, scans a bit further over. And I was like, what was that? That
Oh
was
my
something.
God.
What was that? And I'm looking at the screen and I'm like, don't panic. Don't panic. Look at her face and see if she's seen it, because she knows what she's doing. And I look at her face and I'm like, she saw it too.
Oh my.
So she's going around and I'm like, she saw it. What is it? What is it? And she goes, it's twins. And I just, oh, that was probably one of my biggest fears in life.
Yes.
Would be to have multiples. So my husband's holding my hand and it's getting tighter and tighter. His voice gets loud, like more high pitched. Oh my God.
So a lot of shock is like, you guys are probably just in shock, fear. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh, the whole works.
Yes.
This image of, oh my God, I'm never going to have a life again. I'm going to just be covered in nappies, baby vomit, and I'm just going to have them running around. I will never be able to afford anything or do anything again. It was a real kind of fast track horror movie.
Yes.
Which kind of came out. I came out of the room and I had to book my next appointment. You have to have more scans when you're having multiples. So I go to book the appointment and ultimately she says to me, well, you need to have 2 appointments. And I kind of like looked at her and in my head, I'm like, why do I need 2 appointments? There's only one of me. But obviously they're doing twice the measurements. They need twice the amount of time.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Longer time. But obviously my state of confusion and my general fog of just standing there with my mouth open. She went, would you like to follow me into this room?
So you're at your first appointment and you're going for another scan because of the 2 babies now.
So, well, she'd gone to book the appointment for the next.
Okay. Gotcha.
Scan.
Okay.
But because of my general demeanour of my state of shock, she decided I might need some more assistance. So we got back into a room and a midwife was sent in.
Okay.
And she said, you know, it was that very calming saying to me, so you're expecting twins? I went, yes, people keep saying that. And so I was kind of just stunned, and she started going through, you know, we have lots of twins and there was twins born on the ward today and it's all fine, you know, and all of this piece. And I'm like, okay. And then everything that had happened in the previous pregnancy just came out through my eyeballs. I just started crying because I had the perfect pregnancy last time and look what happened. And now I've got this marker on my maternity file saying high risk pregnancy because it's twins. And I'm like, if I'm high risk, what happens then at the end?
Right.
And I was thrown back kind of into that trauma of, well, I don't know that I can go through that again. I can't do that again. So yeah, it was emotional.
Yes.
And I swore at my husband for pointing at that leaflet.
Yeah.
Yes, it's funny.
Yes.
To be having twins.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
do twins run in either of your families?
So twins are down to the female family. That's where you get twins from.
Okay.
The celebration of my husband and his manliness that he can create twins, it's actually down to the woman. And, so I didn't know, but yes, on both my maternal side and my paternal side, I have.
Okay,
twins,
you've got twins.
You
didn't know.
No.
And your twins are boy. You have a boy and a girl, right?
I have a boy and a girl. Yes. Yeah. So
I cannot even imagine. I mean, so yeah, your pregnancy, the whole journey and delivery, was it as real quickly? How was all of that in a nutshell?
all planned. So planned C-section. So I was allowed to go natural.
Okay.
With non-identical twins, the NICE guidelines for us in the UK are 38 weeks. They don't like you to go past.
That's it.
So at 38 weeks, I had a planned C-section, and it all went completely the opposite to the previous.
Good.
It's beautiful. It all went to plan. I had 1,000 people in the room.
Did you?
It was kind of crowded, and they were extremely big weights as well.
Yeah.
They're very, very healthy and not normal twins. They were naturally developed.
Okay. Now, did you feel at all prepared, knowing you were having twins when you were bringing them home?
So I was a control freak.
Yeah.
So I had a spreadsheet of everything. I had researched what was going to happen, how the best ways of getting them into routines, how the nappy changing feeding process. So I went round speaking to lots of people so how do you do this? How can you do breastfeeding and top up feeds? Because they were saying, about your milk coming in normally anyway, and then producing enough milk to feed twins. And actually for me, because my twins were so big, they demand a lot more milk than what smaller twins would demand.
Okay.
So I can remember I spoke to one midwife and went, I'm trying to work this out. If I'm breastfeeding one at a time, doing them, and they take an average of this amount of time, and they feed this often, that actually means I'm not doing anything other than feeding.
Right.
And your way around that is to do top-up feeds with formula and switch them around. And I went, how does that work? And she went, I don't really know.
Oh, my gosh.
Everything I could control, I did. I was, really planned, organised.
Yeah.
And also, I think what I'd learned from my previous was to really give yourself that space and grace to enjoy having them and do it on your schedule.
Yeah.
So all the people who want to visit, all the people who want to be a part of it, keep them out.
Yeah.
Yes. Enjoy.
Yeah.
You've done all the hard work. So
that's a great reminder, because I think a lot of us women feel that push-pull and try to keep other people happy and let family see, but we need time to rest and heal and enjoy those first few weeks of life with our baby. So yeah, it's a very special time, and it goes by quickly, but when you're in the day-to-day, those days can be really long. But yeah, giving yourself that time to just savor and be with them. Very, very good reminder from a very wise woman. You've got such great advice always. I know there's another kind of part to your story and journey in terms of motherhood. I'll let you share this, it's kind of full circle. I mean, just in terms of just the unplanned part of just really being a mother and all of life surprises. I mean, life changes and surprises us every single day. And there's so many stuff we don't have control over. And so, yeah.
So I had the 3 children, and obviously once I'd found out that I was susceptible to multiples, and once you've had twins, the potential for you to have triplets is really, really high. And
I did not know that. Wow.
I get pregnant. Yeah. So
yeah,
that was like, right. Okay. Well, we've got our family sorted. So we settled into family of 5 life, and getting through those initial stages and nappies and life. And stuff. So we got to, so they were born in 2011. So 2016, the twins would be starting school here. So they'd been at nursery. I'd gone back to work after a year at home with them. And it was in the September they were going to go to school from nursery. And it was quite a big year for us. So we decided to have a big family holiday, and we went to Disney World and celebrated and came back. And the twins started at school, which was going great. And they had their 5th birthday. And then just under 3 weeks after their 5th birthday, my husband got really sick one night. He had a heart attack and passed away. And yeah, it was without warning.
Right.
He was left with 3 children. They were asleep at the time. So their dad had actually put them to bed and read them their bedtime stories. So they had my last images of them with him are them snuggled up in bed reading a bedtime story.
Oh, I'm so
and then
sorry.
the next morning, thank you, I had to wake the 3 of them up and get them together and sit them together. And obviously I had the warning that I was about to tell them something that was going to break their hearts and take all the magic out of their worlds.
Right.
So I had to sit them together and tell them that Daddy had got sick the night before and he'd passed away. For my eldest, it was immediate. He understood what that meant and just wanted it not to be true. For the twins, they knew it was upsetting. They knew something was wrong, but it kind of took a bit more time to really get into their heads of what that meant. I mean, it took us all a long journey to do that, but
sure,
that overnight realization that I have 100% responsibility for them, for everything. There's nobody else to ask. Obviously, I've got my family, I've got my mum around, but nobody else has parental responsibility for them. And that always stays the same, even to this day. So actually this week it sees we're 6 years down the line since that happened. And it still comes up every now and again, every day. I think a decision you make, whether it's what next school they go to, whether it's allowing them to go on a school trip, whether it's the next stage of their life, something that they want to do, and trying to make that decision without any backup.
Right.
Is really, really tough.
I can only imagine. I can't even imagine. I mean, yes, overnight you lost the love of your life. Your children lost their father, and that you have to keep moving forward and taking care of your children, and also mourning and grieving the loss. I mean, you're just so strong and incredibly strong. And I know you have taken your pain and are now transforming, and you're using that pain to help other people that are going through just all sorts of life issues. I mean, just all sorts of life things. So do you want to tell us a little bit now? I mean, how did you kind of work through that first year? And how did your grief, maybe just kind of the overall, I mean, coming up on 6 years, I mean, imagine your grief is a little bit different this week than it was obviously 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago. Just kind of walk us through a little your journey and just kind of where you are at today and how you still process it.
Okay. So I think the first moment is really, my husband passed away at home. So we had emergency services here, and he was put into the back of an ambulance, and I asked whether I could go and sit with him before they took him away. So I went into the ambulance and I sat with him, and my husband was full on dad. He did as much for the children as I did. We didn't have that kind of separation. The children would go to him as much as they would to me. He was 100% present with them. So his children meant the world to him. And he was always a really happy individual. And for his legacy to be one of sadness and for us to be a broken family, he deserved more than that being his legacy. Mm-hmm. So as I sat with him in the ambulance, I made a promise to him that everything that we'd said was going to happen with our children, everything that we wanted, you know, no specifics, just our dreams and aspirations for how they would grow up and the happy life that we wanted for them. I would have to make that happen. So that was a really poignant moment for me that stuck in my head. So even on those darkest days that followed, where it just all seemed impossible and overwhelming, I'd made that promise to him, and I knew I had to keep going. I knew I had to be there for the children, answer every one of their questions, and be really open and honest with them. And that was really important. One of the things that we had was that we always told our children the truth. No matter how difficult it was, we would always tell them the truth. Because, you know, the universe brings you adversity, and these things happen. We didn't expect that to be happening to our own family, but you're always dealing with difficult things. But we wanted the children to always know that they were safe with us, and we would always be open and honest with them. And that seemed even more important, that we could talk, interact, and they could open up with me and say anything that they needed to do, and be respectful of each other in terms of processing the grief, because they went through different stages and it's not a straight line. You go backwards and forwards. So they would all be at different stages at different points. So, you know, my youngest, he just wanted to find ways that he could fix Daddy. So he kept coming up with ways of how he could repair his heart and how it could be fixed, and all of these answers. And whereas my eldest was in a very different position and had more awareness of what the consequence was. So it was managing all of that. But what was really hard was just surviving wasn't enough for me. And I just couldn't live in a darkness forever. That, you know, the children couldn't have a lifelong, that they would never be happy again, that there would never be any magic again. So I had to find a way of getting that back into our lives, that all the magic we'd experienced only a few weeks earlier in Disney World, and all of those memories we had created, that was still possible for them. And that's how we remember Daddy, and that's how we keep his spirit alive. So I say with my children, they say, sometimes people make the mistake in saying, well, you don't have a dad. Well, they don't have a dad on this earth, but because he lives in their hearts. And the privilege that those three children have that nobody else has is they all have their dad's DNA. They have their blood, his blood running through their veins, and no one else can say that.
Yeah.
So we talk about and we celebrate who Daddy was and the funny things he would say and all the positive memories. And we celebrate everything we had with him rather than focus on what we've lost.
That's absolutely beautiful. I mean, you could just tell, you guys just seem to have had just the most beautiful relationship. I mean, and what a gift to give to your children. I mean, that his legacy will live on, and you've turned this, a lot of people would probably crumble and really not know, nobody knows how to handle and how they're going to handle that situation, but you have handled it with a lot of grace, and you are still moving forward and following through. And I love that you made a promise to him before he went away, and that you're honoring that every day. Even I'm sure you have really hard days, and, your days are a little bit lighter and you miss him like crazy, but you know that he's there and he's in your children, and you get to see that, and you get to see that love that he has, and it just comes from them. And so you guys did that. The two of you did that. And that's really, really incredible.
So yeah, he'd be really proud of us and the children and how they've turned out and the empathy that they show to each other and to other people. They have an understanding of emotions that a lot of adults don't get to process and have. And they have more awareness and sensitivity of that. But they live full lives. And that was really important, you know. Yeah, they have their days. We all have our days where it's tough. You know, there's days where things are difficult and they just want their dad to put his arms around them and pick them up and protect them, and they want that in their lives. But they get that from other people who support us as well, and we have each other.
Yeah, which is extremely important. While you're here on Earth, you know, just love on the people that are here. So what's their favorite way to celebrate and honor Dad? What do you guys like to do?
So on his birthday, what we tend to do, and I very much get led by the children of what feels right for them. So it's been different in different years, but we can do this for Father's Day and at other times. So they write cards or they draw pictures or they write a poem and we send them to Daddy on the fire pit. We've got a fire pit out in the garden. So we might we have the fire pit on and they might sing songs that they want to, or read the poems that they've written, or describe what they want to tell Daddy, and they put their pictures and things in the fire and we send them up. The smoke goes up to send up to Daddy. And then we have toasted marshmallows and hot chocolate and really celebrate and have some fun. Yeah. Sometimes I have to have Daddy beer.
Have a Daddy beer?
Yeah.
So you said have celebrate him with a beverage. I totally get it. Yes. Cheers to Dad. But that's awesome. I mean, that's just what an incredible way to honor him and send those messages up and to just release that. Process it and release it and honor him and all wrapped into one. So it's beautiful.
It's whatever the children feel what's right. Yeah. So we've had birthday dinner before that they've chosen what they think Daddy would have wanted for his birthday, and we've had birthday cake and they sing happy birthday to Daddy and blow out his candles for him and all of that piece. It's just what's right. Sometimes they don't want to do something like that. It's whatever, and they might want to do something more private, personal to themselves.
Yeah.
And my daughter came to me once and she said to me she'd made this card for Daddy and she wanted to give it to him, and she went, "But please let's not burn it."
Oh.
That's fine. So we have Daddy's ashes in a special box that we have in the house. And any cards or things that they want, they put with Daddy so that he can see them.
Okay. I love that. Very special. So I'm going to kind of switch gears here a little bit. So now tell us, how does all of this play into your everyday life now in terms of work? Like, did you make a big career move and a change because of this?
Yeah. So, I had some time off work, a few months off work. I had quite a demanding corporate role. And I went back to it, but my heart wasn't in it. I wanted to be around with the children. I had more different priorities, really. Different things were important to me. So I made the decision, and I had the privilege of the opportunity that I could leave my corporate role. So I decided to give myself a year to fix us, to back on some kind of way of living, to rebuild us, to find our new happy of what we wanted to do, and so that I could be more present and around for the children, so they could be secure that they knew that whenever they needed me, I was there, and school holidays I was there for. So I did that. And I did lots of therapy and counselling and looked at different ways of how I could release that trauma, and really wanted to live my best life. So I tried everything from drumming and sound baths and yoga and Reiki and hypnotherapy and counselling and CBT and NLP. I gave it a go. Anything that I felt could help.
Yeah.
And I was really interested in the science of psychology and how that all worked for everyone. So I decided to enroll myself back to university and study psychology. So I went to do an undergraduate degree. I did my first couple of years of that, and I was introduced to positive psychology. And part of that is post-traumatic growth. So after experiencing significant trauma that causes a real breakdown in your world, actually there's a recovery, and identified that you can go to a point where you are thriving and living a happier life than you were before that point of trauma. And I was really intrigued by this, because that's how I felt. I had felt that I'd experienced a growth that I don't think I could have achieved before. So I wanted to understand more of how could we make sure that people who'd experienced real trauma and adversity could get there. What makes the difference? So part of my dissertation was looking at, the difference between those that fall into a state of helplessness and depression, as opposed to those that experience this growth, what that difference was. So I can learn and understand that, so I can help share that with the world and enable people to really step into the real opportunity they have of living their best life.
Yes. And tell us the name of your company.
So I'm Happier. My company is called Happier. So I'm the Happier Coach.
Yeah.
Because it really embodies everything that is important to me.
Yeah. I mean, you have helped me in so many ways just by listening and following along with your information, because I'm like you. I mean, just watching people that have gone through traumatic events, you wonder, how do they come through on the other side, and how do they thrive? Like that's where I want to be. And that's what I hope that our listeners, if either they've gone through something. I mean, I think a lot of us have gone through trauma that maybe we just bury it. We don't want to acknowledge it. We don't think it's affected us, but chances are, it definitely has impacted you. So if you are looking to explore that, and not that we got to sit and dwell in the past, it's just kind of unpacking and learning how it's impacted us so that we can move forward and live these just amazing, amazing lives. So I love what you were doing. I want to know more about your Reconnect program. Will you tell us a little bit more about the Reconnect?
Yeah. So the Reconnect program really is the starting point. So this is something that can be beneficial for anyone. You don't have to have experienced a major trauma or adversity, but if you explain your life as a journey, and over the course of that journey, you get different weather and different events, and your environment sends you into different places. And, being women can quite often, when you've had children and you start focusing on the needs of your children or your husband and other people who've come into your life, you start getting further and further away from who you are. So the Reconnect program is really a starting point to understand who that person was before you got some of those limiting beliefs from that adversity, from things that had happened and experienced in your life, that covers up who you are. So there's we add on different layers of personality, and then we take on those layers of personality as though they are our own, when in actual fact they were a response to an event that happened. So the Reconnect program is about understanding that and reconnecting with your values, who you are, how your experiences have shaped and changed you, and then taking someone forward to look at how you can put in place the things that can protect who you are as a person. So whether that's having the right mindset of what you can achieve, focusing on positive energy, rather than the negative energy, and putting in the right boundaries to protect that authentic self, and then taking you forward through. And the program then moves you into looking at how you set your goals, set out your intention for who you want to be and what you want to achieve. And once you start focusing on all of that, anything is possible that you
I
can
love
achieve.
that. Yes. Yes. While we're here on earth, we should enjoy every single day. You know, we're not going to have perfect days all the time, but I love that. I absolutely love that. So you've got, tell us your website, because I know you've got a lot of other things on there. That's one amazing program, but you've got, you know, guided meditations, you've got journals, you've got a ton of awesome, even free resources that are on your website. But if people want to go and learn more specifically about this, I know that they can go to your website. Tell us again, what's your website?
Okay, so it's happiercoach.com. So happier is HAPPYA, coach.com. And on there, you'll see the different programs that I run. And there's, as you say, there's some different resources on there to support you on your journey. But, you know, feel free to DM me and anything you want to understand that we've spoken about, and I'm happy to share.
Yeah. And I know if people want to just get to know you more as well, and I love listening to you, but you've got a podcast out now too. So I'm going to just tell everybody, you go look for Clare. It's Clare Deacon. I'm going to have all of her information in the show notes, but she's got a podcast, which is just incredible. And just hear more about Clare and her amazing journey and how she is helping people. And, you know, if you're just even having some sort of inclination that you want to make an improvement in your life, Clare is she's just a godsend. She is just you're helping so many people just get out of that darkness and really step into the light, and so that people can really just live and be their best selves while they're here on earth. So no matter what they've gone through. So I want to wrap things up. I could talk to you forever, and I really hope that you come back on, because there's so many other topics that I would love to pick your brain on. And I think our listeners would really love to get your perspective on. But my last and final question is, what advice would you give to a new mom? She's just found out that she's pregnant. She's just, you know, maybe she's in the same situation as you. Oops, sorry, I hit my microphone. She is, you know, just seeing those two blue lines, and no matter what's going on in her life, we don't know if, you know, she was in a relationship or not. Whatever that feeling is, that sense of fear, what would you tell her as she's getting ready to embark on this next journey, and, you know, as she's stepping into motherhood?
Okay. I would say take a deep breath in through her nose and slowly release it through her mouth, because she's about to embark on a really magical journey. And it won't be all smooth. It won't be like those perfect dream books. It's going to be real. Yeah. And every moment of it is going to be really special. So really savor every moment.
I love that. And you just, savor it and just bring it back to that breath work. So important. And healing, just exhaling those negative emotions and inhaling. Such sage advice. You are just so wise. I cannot thank you enough for coming on here. And again, I really hope that you'll come back. It's been just a true pleasure and an honor to get to know you better and just introduce you to our listeners. So again, anybody that wants to learn more information about you can certainly find all of your, all the links, everything to your program, all the social media. I will have all of that in the show notes. So I hope to be seeing you soon. Thank you, Clare.
Thank you, Ashley. Bye.
Bye. All right, friends. So if you loved listening to this episode as much as I loved chatting with Clare, you're going to be so happy to know that she and I have partnered together and are going to be teaching SOAR, which is our upcoming class that's going to be coming up. It's kicking off at the time of this recording. It'll be kicking off next month in November of 2022. So it's our mission to really just help and deliver and give you every absolute tool and resource for you to just exit 2022 with a sense of just a fresh of breath air, knowing that you're going to exhale. You're going to just eliminate anything that's not working for you. We're going to examine week 1. It's 1 hour. If you can't make it live, it'll be a recording. So first week is going to be looking at situations. That second week, we're looking at opportunities. third week is action. That's where Claire's going to be really diving in and talking about the mindset piece just to really set you up for the utmost success. And then that fourth week, right before the holiday here in the States, is going to be the R for release. So we're going to just be letting go of things and really stepping into our power as we dive into 2023. So this is it's going to be the first that we ever do. We want to invite you. We welcome you to join us. You can find all the information on our website. Look at the unplannedmomschool.com to get registered for this, because it's going to be just an amazing event. And so we're just super excited. So we will be teaching them live in November. And of course, if you're listening to this at a later date, you can always get on the website and purchase the course at a later date, because it's going to be amazing. So we hope to see you there and just wish you all the best, and are just sending you so much love, peace, and happiness. And we hope to see you soar into 2023. Okay, my sweet mamas, if you're tuning in and have got a friend's name that just keeps bubbling up at the top of your head as you've been listening to this episode, go ahead. I want you to grab that link, copy and paste it, and shoot them a quick text and just tell them that you were thinking of them. After all, we're all here to help each other. And if this episode resonated with you, there's a pretty good chance that something in it will resonate with them as well. This show is for you, so do me a solid. Go ahead, share it with that one person that comes to mind so we can spread the love to all of our sisters. And if you really, really loved it, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a review. All right, thank you, my sweet friends. Thanks so much for tuning in. I will see you all next week. And if you need any more inspiration between now and then, come on over and check us out on TikTok. See you soon.